Hi, I'm Harold Bell, and this is the Legends of Inside Sports and the Way We Were. Well, it's February 4th, Super Bowl week, Black History Month, so we should have a lot to talk about. And joining me is my partner in crime. He's a graduate of Gwynn Park High School in Prince George's County, attended Delaware University, and has his own rock group called the Cortland Experience. So welcome once again, Mr. Chris Johnson. How you doing, man?
Good. Super Bowl Sunday. A lot of stuff going on in the sports world. Should be a good show.
Well, tell me what's happening in the Super Bowl. What's the latest? We know that, of course, New England is the favorite. Tom Brady has just been named the most valuable player, and
40 years old.
Yeah, and a lot looks like it's going to be in the hands of quarterback Nick Foles of the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think what's happening and what's going to decide this game is going to be done on the defensive side of the ball with that great Philadelphia defensive linebackers, and of course defensive backs. How do you see, and what is your prediction?
I'm going to predict the Patriots win just because that's just how the league is built right now. But also, I do agree that the Eagles do have a great chance, even with Carson Wentz out and Nick Foles in the action. They have a great coach. He does a great job of tailoring the game to the game plan for his quarterback. And like you said before, the Eagles just have a ton of depth on both sides of the ball, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which is really important. And it's how they overcame all those injuries to make it here this far. So I think the Eagles have a real chance, but it's hard to bet against Brady and bet on Nick Foles. You know, MVP Brady. The league loves the Patriots. This could be the last Belichick-Brady Super Bowl for all we know.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying, but I doubt that seriously. I think Belichick, at this stage of the game, because of his age, is settled in much like Tom Brady. I don't think he wants to pick up and go start over again when he's already got his house brought and paid for, you know. And there may be some conflict there between him, Brady, and Robert Kraft. I don't think that he could win a battle between Robert Kraft being a Brady man. I think that's just the way it's going to have to go. That's the son, as far as I'm concerned. So I think Belichick is a smarter dude than that, than to go up against something like that. He'll find a way to get around that. I would be surprised if he decided to pick up and leave. One of the places I would see him going is the New York Giants. I think would be a great home for him, and I think that's the only place that he would go. So we would just have to wait and see exactly what happens there. I understand that, man, that the tickets out there for the Super Bowl, man, is up to $5,000. $5,000, man, to get into a game. So you know they're not thinking about people like us attending.
Oh no, that ain't for us. Like I said, that ain't ready, man.
That is out of the question. In fact, I did a show earlier. I found an interview that I had done with Larry Fitzgerald Sr., who is a columnist and talk show host in Minnesota. That name sounds familiar. That's because his son was one of the greatest wide receivers to play the game today, Larry Fitzgerald Jr. And Larry and I were talking about 26 years ago, man. 26 years ago, how Minnesota Vikings had hired his first black coach, the second in the National Football League, and we were talking about the coach being Dennis Green. And then there were a couple other hires, just to show you how they were progressing, made in the college ranks. They named the athletic director at one of the universities, a coach. But here it is, 2018. And we talking about the second head coach in 1992. We must be down to 5 head coaches in the NFL now, aren't we?
Yeah, it's about that. It's looking like that. Yeah, it's still not a huge number. It's not a lot of diversity in the coaching ranks still. But I don't
But
know.
I'm just thinking, man, this being Black History Month, what is there to be celebrating when you start talking about pro sports? Here we go again.
Yeah, it's
You
coming.
know, no ownership in Major League Baseball, but I think they're down to maybe one coach. I can only think of one manager, head manager, and that's the guy in L.A., Roberts. I can't think of any other black manager in Major League Baseball. And then, of course, we got Michael Jordan as the only black owner in the NBA. So, man,
Yeah,
we are definitely hustling backwards here.
yeah.
I don't know. Exactly what folks are thinking about when you start celebrating Black History Month. I always ask the question, what are you celebrating?
So a lot of work left to do. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's an understatement. That's an
Indeed.
understatement. It's too, like I say, it's too many of us that are still talking the talk but not walking the walk. Okay, let's move on to the NBA, and there's a lot of things happening there. A lot of things happening there. There seems to be a lot of chaos going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And of course, their main man, LeBron James, it seems like his attitude, his head is just not into the franchise. What is happening? I think I heard you say they got beat bad last
Oh,
night.
they got throttled. I watched that game from start to finish. I don't know how, but I saw it firsthand. They had the nationally televised game against the Rockets last night, and they got destroyed. That game was over by halftime. Cavaliers looked like they had quit on each other. Their coach, they were getting booed by their fans in their own building. By the
Mm.
third quarter, it was looking horrible. They were down well over 30 points at many times in the game. Their defense is non-existent. Kevin Love being out hurts their offensive output. So Isaiah Thomas is still not healthy. So he's in there struggling offensively,
Mm.
dominating the ball, being a 5'7", 5'8" defensive liability on both sides. It's just not looking good at all. They're tweaking their lineups. They're not getting enough firepower. They're not playing with enough energy. And like I said, the big problem I see is just glaring defense.
Mm.
There's no rim protector on that team. You can just take it to the rim on them whenever you want at will. They don't
Yeah,
play good help defense. They don't. Yeah, it's rough.
I was um, I was listening to or I saw something that had been written by or quote by LeBron James. He said, "We so bad that they should take us off
Yeah.
national television."
I think they're like something like 0-7 or like 0-10 or
Wow.
something on national televised games. I think they're 0-7 against the elite teams out west, and then
Hmm.
they're like 0-10 or something on national TV this year. So yeah, they when the lights have been bright, they've been awful.
And now, what about this Houston Rockets team? Yeah, are they going into that second gear now?
Yeah, I think they're legit. They might be the top threat to Golden State, as we said. Chris Paul and James Harden has just been a ridiculous duo. Like Chris Paul getting healthy. When Chris Paul, James Harden, I think Clint Capella all play, they're like something like 22-1 or something in the season. Like they're almost unbeatable when those two guys are firing all cylinders. You saw earlier this week, James Harden had a 60-point 10 and 10, 10 and 11 triple double. I mean, that guy is Kobe level offensive great. Like James Harden can score at will, and then you have one of the best point guards of our generation, and Chris Paul is still playing at a high level. That team built with Mike D'Antoni, they're built to score. They're built for firepower. They're the most prolific three-point shooting team we've seen maybe ever, even over the Warriors in terms of the volume amount of threes that they shoot and make.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be a really fun series to see, and to see Houston get healthy. They didn't even have Eric Gordon last night. One of their key scorers and players was out, so and they still drummed the Cavaliers by like 30 points. So they're a hot team. They're dangerous.
Well, another team I think that bears watching, and I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been, that Blake Griffin went to Detroit.
Yeah, big trade, big trade. I
That was
think
a big
yeah,
trade.
I think it works out for both teams because I saw the Clippers last night when they debuted Avery Bradley and Tobias Harris, and they both had excellent games. I think Tobias had 24 for the Clippers. So the Clippers got some good pieces back in exchange for Blake, and I think that was more so getting rid of that contract they gave him. He
Hmm.
gets injured a lot. He does play at a superstar level, so I think the Pistons got great value back because
Yeah.
Blake is a legit superstar. They need to sell tickets in that stadium. They didn't have any big stars, any big names to sell it. Now they have a legitimate star to build their franchise around. To play with Drummond, you already know Blake can play with another big, like he played with DeAndre Jordan. So that should be fine. Like he had a great game his first game, so it looks like he'll fit in Detroit just nicely.
Yeah, that was a gamble, and I think it was a gamble worth taking by the Detroit management because Blake Griffin, like when he's healthy, man, he's a monster.
Yeah.
It's no doubt about that. Well, now let's take a look at the home team, man. These guys are playing some fantastic basketball. I'm talking about the Washington Wizards. They are playing, talking about team ball.
Yeah.
That is what it is all about. And I think, and I've always said, that these guys on any given night can beat anybody.
Yeah,
It just
been
is
saying it all
which
season.
team is going to show up. And I'm sorry to say that the team that's showing up without John Wall is the one that they need
Yeah,
when John Wall
absolutely.
comes back. I hope that maybe that he takes from this what his role really should be. That definitely we need him to score, but
Yeah,
he definitely needs, since the ball is in his hands so much, he needs to become a distributor, and he doesn't get his 9, 10 assists. But I think you sit there back and you look at the big picture, and the only thing you got to say, can Gotar give us 10 and 10? That's what
yeah.
I.
Gave you 10 and 11 last night.
Yeah, is that right? That's
Yeah.
what I've
Yeah,
been saying.
I
That
always
for
look for it ever since you say that. I always look for
yeah,
Gortat to get
I've
that
been
double
saying
double.
that forever. If he can get 10 and 10, that the Wizards are going to be tough to beat. And the key thing is that they stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key to all of these. When it comes to making predictions at the beginning of the year, you have to think, can they stay healthy? Now, of course, now we look at the cream of the crop. Um, what's happening with the Golden State Warriors? Any problems there?
They look at just Steve Kerr's made a comment that they just look a little tired. They're going for the All-Star break. When you play at that level, get every team's best shot every night, and they've had some injuries too, banged up Steph Curry and Kevin Durant on some little nagging stuff. So I think they're just a little tired. They're still gonna end up with the best record. They'll end up dueling it out with probably Houston for that best record. And I don't really see too many threats to them still. Like I said, Cleveland is not looking like a legitimate threat out east, so it doesn't look like they have any threats out east. And then, I'm thinking maybe Houston and maybe OKC. When they put it all together, they're kind of like that Wizards type team. OKC can beat anyone on any given night, but since they lost Roberson, their best defender, they've been struggling to try to to fill that void. There's some trade rumors that they might try to go after Avery Bradley to fill that spot to try to shore up because they're going all in this year with Paul George and Melo. So that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, I still don't see too many threats to this Warriors team, especially with Cavaliers crashing and burning the way they are right now. But yeah.
I'm just thinking, when I want to go back to Cleveland, and I'm just thinking everybody's saying that Tyrone Lue's job is, secure, but how can it be secure, with your main man? He said, I ain't got no time to worry about Tyrone Lue's job. If that's something that should be kept to yourself. You know what I mean?
There's some
That's
locker room stuff going on in there.
Yeah, it's definitely some locker room stuff, and there's the same thing they say about the Wizards locker room. They're beefing, but that's one thing I never paid any attention to rumors. If I don't see it, I don't like to repeat it. But the rumors are going to go around. Anytime that you got where there's some success, people are always trying to find something negative that's going on, and I guess that's what must sell newspapers. Newspapers on the way out now, but maybe that's how you drum up of support. But
yeah, I'm thinking some of the success the Wizards might have might even fuel some of that now. John Wall out, they're playing. They're 4-0. They're playing much better team ball, distributing the ball. Satoransky looks great. Coming off the bench, he was a key player for them all year, but I didn't even think he would be this good and holding it down for John Wall. He still got some, games
he
to
did
go.
great, man. I was surprised
he had
myself.
19 last night, 19
right?
off 7 of 9 shooting, 3 for 3 from downtown,
Yeah.
6 assists,
Yeah.
not turning the ball over. He's very athletic. I think there's a lot of people really slept on. He's probably, I heard Bradley Beal last game when we were in the post game said Satoransky's more athletic than he is.
Wow.
So,
yeah, they are. Well, that's what I think. I think that the Wizards, as we get back to them, return. uh, they have one of the best benches in the league. You know,
Yeah,
and you look and you say, well, the Warriors are tired because they don't have the type of bench support to relieve the stars. Is McGee? They start playing McGee again
no,
or what?
he's still there, but he doesn't get a lot of minutes. You know, they
Hmm.
usually go small. They go with the small ball.
Yeah.
Have move Durant up to the four, and then they can have Iguodala out there, or Nick Young, or anybody else they want as that extra person, rather than having Zaza Pachulia out there. But the small ball is the way of the NBA now.
Hmm.
That's where they're going. But yeah, it's a lot going on. I think the Wizards will be fine. They can make that push. The Warriors are still the cream of the crop out west. There's nothing changes out there. But I think we missed something on the local front on the football news. If we're around
Oh, that's
Washington,
right. Oh,
we've got a
yeah.
new quarterback in town.
Yeah, yeah. I think, man. In fact, you know what? I think that was a smart move by the Washington Redskins
Agreed.
because they were going to end up getting nothing for
Mm-hmm.
Cousins. You
Would
know,
have
really,
walked.
he was going to walk. He was getting out of here. There's no doubt about that. And I think it was a great move for both Kansas City and the Washington Redskins. I think. I think it may work out. Now I don't know exactly where they're going, but as far as the dollars and everything, and
Yeah.
them getting something, this was a great move. They jumped ahead of the curve
Yeah.
when
Exactly.
they made that move. So
Yeah, I think they screwed the initial situation up, so I thought they did a great job to salvage what they could and be proactive and not wait for him to walk for nothing. If they feel like he's going to walk, or the reports are that he was drawn. They wanted a solution now, and he wanted to draw out the process as he should to free
mm-hmm.
agency to get as much money as he can. So they didn't want that, so they proactively made the deal for Alex Smith, a Pro Bowl quarterback, a winning quarterback, has a winning record every season, led the league in completion percentage, accuracy, touchdown to interception ratio. But it always makes me nervous when a team is really happy to see that quarterback leave. Like I see a lot of people in Kansas City that are ecstatic Alex Smith is gone. And maybe, we have not been spoiled to have a 9, 10, 11 win quarterback every season, but I don't know. That's the only thing that gives me reservation. But Alex Smith is a good quarterback. He's not going to throw the game away, which
Mm-hmm.
Cousins has been known to do a few times. And Cousins has a higher ceiling, but is it worth the dollars? I think the Redskins didn't want to find themselves in the situation that the Baltimore Ravens find themselves in right now, paying Joe Flacco over $100 million, and now him not playing very well, and you being stuck with the bill, and you can't improve other parts of your team. So as you said, they were proactive. They went out, said we'll sign Alex Smith to an extension immediately, so they at least know they have 4 years to find their next quarterback, have a veteran Pro Bowl guy to hold it down. It's the best you could have done for the situation.
Well, I think so too. While we can still hang into the football thing here, I want to take a look, man, at the nominations for the NFL Hall of Fame, the
Oh
inductees.
yeah,
This
good
is the
class.
first time ever that the committee has ever selected two sets of players at the same position to go into the Hall of Fame at the same time. And I'm talking about, of course, Terrell Owens and my man Randy Moss, one of the best to ever do it.
Gotcha.
Mr. Excitement himself, man. I really would pay to see that guy play. And the linebackers from the Ravens, what's the boy's name?
Yeah, Lewis
Ray Lewis.
and Urlacher, right?
Urlacher,
Yeah,
yeah,
Brian
from
Urlacher.
Chicago Bears, yeah. Those are two monsters. They are
all
they're
deserving.
definitely, they are all deserving. No doubt in my mind.
Especially for my generation, like this is probably the first generation of players since I was like, growing up as a football fan as in like an adult. So like these are like the greatest players that I can remember watching, in real time. Like Randy Moss, Brian Urlacher, Brian Dawkins, like these great players, like those are the greatest players as I was growing up. So this is Hall of Fame class is like extra special to me because these are players that not just like guys I remember seeing film of or hearing about, but guys I've watched pretty much their whole career and was able to see it.
You're right. And also that fifth guy that went in was Brian Hawkins of the Philadelphia Eagles, the defensive back. He had an outstanding career, so that was good. He was always hard nosed. He was always there. Came to play every day, and that's what the Philadelphia fans loved about Brian. That he came to play every day. He was their type of player. One person that you don't know about. There was two that were inducted for being contributors. One of them was the guy that was here. Um, I can't even think of his name now, but he was the general manager, and but the guy that I had my eye on because I'm a big
Oh, you're talking about Bobby Beathard?
Bobby Beathard, yeah, Bobby Beathard went in as a contributor. But the guy that I had my eye on was from the Green Bay Packers. He's the last of the Green Bay Packers from that Vince Lombardi era stars that finally get inducted into the Hall of Fame. In fact, I thought Jerry Kramer was already in the Hall of Fame. And this has to be the last one. I thought Dave Robinson, who went in as a linebacker for the Green Bay Packers several years ago. I thought he was the last one. But Jerry Kramer was one of the great blockers. And maybe with a lot of this stuff, a lot of us don't realize a lot of politics that go on, man.
Oh yeah, for these awards. And
Yeah,
things
these
like
are
that.
one, yeah, going to being inducted into the Hall of Fame because I know one guy that needs to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's Johnny Sample, who played with the world champion Baltimore Colts, and then played on another world championship team with the New York Jets when they upset the Colts and upset the apple cart as far as the AFL and NFL was concerned. And he had an outstanding 12-year career, but got involved in the political thing because he stood up to be a man. And that's one thing about, man, living in America today. They don't want you to be able to tell your truth, or not only tell your truth, but not help your people. And a lot of us have fell by the wayside because we've become very scared of our jobs. That you got to watch what you say, you know, and I just, being Black History Month now, yeah, my thing is, I decided a long time ago that I was going to celebrate Black History Month 365 days of the year because we are so limited because we have very few outlets uh, to discuss or to honor one another, because if we don't take advantage of this social media now, because all I see on social media is folks talking about, look at me, look at my new car, look at me in Bermuda. Hey, you should take this seriously, man, and talk about how can we help each other. I mean, you look around at what's going on in our community as far as the school system, our kids are being shortchanged in Prince George's County, in D.C., you understand? Because actually people don't care or they're playing games with our kids. A kid just lost his life in Ballou High School. But look, how
Yep,
long
that
has
was
this
the
been
street.
going on? It's being recycled from my days in the street, working with at-risk children and youth gangs. Man, when I said enough was enough way back then. And this stuff continues to happen because people are playing games. Talk about children first. Children are never first. They're first as far as your mind goes and you getting into office. And then once
Exactly.
you get there,
It's all about
you
the
forget
money.
all about them. It's all about going to the bank. And it's the same thing when we look what happened in Baltimore to the school system where them kids were trying to learn in cold schools, man.
Freezing conditions. Like I said, we did the fundraiser to raise money for those kids. Like, but that shouldn't be on the
Shouldn't
community to do
be.
that.
It shouldn't be
That
on the
should, yeah.
community to do that, man. And here we go again. The Maryland State Lottery. That's one of the first things they said when they started the lottery back in the day. I was a part of that. I was one of the ones that was blessed to have the Maryland State Lottery as a sponsor. And I said, man, this would be great. They're going to be putting money back into the system to help our children. But they faked me out too. So this is not only happening in Maryland and D.C., but it's happening around the country.
Yeah, we need more regular people to run for office. Like say 2018, like these people these politicians that are so big time and unstoppable, they're not. Like they can be beat by regular people because they're so out of touch. They're like Paul Ryan had tweeted, and he had deleted this tweet because he was so ashamed and caught so much heat. But just as an example, he was tweeting that a teacher was giving him credit for the tax plan because she saved $1.50 every week. Like he saved $1, and he was like, "Oh, I'm proud. I saved you, maybe $98
That's
a year."
ridiculous.
Like,
That's
and then
ridiculous.
everyone tore him to shreds because like you're so out of touch that you think an extra $1.50 a week is going to help people out here actually struggling. Like you gave your donors and the 1%, you gave them 80% of the benefits. You gave them billions, and then you give people an extra $1 a week, and you expect them to kiss your feet and thank you. So like, run against these guys. Like they have no clue what is actually going on in the streets and in the community. So
well, I think one of the most disappointing things that I was able to witness, and I think we were out at the Wizards game the night of the State of the Union. But I knew I would get back and I'd see, the spot. But just to see the politicians on both sides of the aisle, how they just they don't like each other.
Like children.
Yeah, I mean it was childish, man. You look on one side of the aisle, they got their mouths, they're all poked out. Man, what is this? What kind of leadership are you showing for our young people?
Democratic Party, the resistance, the worst resistance I've ever seen. Sitting there and pouting, and then when negotiations start, giving the man everything he wants. That's not resistance. Like, just crossing your arms and pouting. You look like a child. Like, we need the government to get things done and not to just be partisan this, partisan that. Teams, like, we need real solutions now. This is not a game. Like I said, there are people dying and starving in these streets. Like, we don't have time for this. Like, really, for our government, this is ridiculous. Like I said, we need to. It's all about primaries. Like, I'm not even worried about main elections or big elections. What we as regular people need to do is just focus on primaries. Focus on what's going on locally and take it from the grassroots. If you feel like you don't like the politician, run against them. Be there.
Well, it's just that, I think about the many sacrifices, man, by, just look at Paul Robeson on my wall. You look at Jack Johnson. You look at Judge Luke Moore. The Thurgood Marshall, man, Jackie Robinson. You look around this room and see the people that sacrificed for us, who gave their lives trying to make it a better way. And they must be terribly disappointed. Not only black folks who gave their lives, but there were white folks who gave their lives.
Some of them fighting for us too, like I said.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of realize, I know I'm on the way out. There's no doubt about it. I'm at that stage of the game. I'm seeing people dying all around me. And I have to ask myself, if I help make my community a better place when I found it, have I honestly helped make it a better place? I don't think so. I think I've tried. That's all I could do is try. I've touched some lives. I've won some and I lost some. But it's just a shame, man, when your own people can't deal with the truth and all they want to do is snipe behind your back. That's terrible, man. That's terrible. And that's what Dr. King was all about. That's not what Jackie Robinson was all about. That's not what Muhammad Ali was all about. They were about reaching out to everyone, no matter their color. That's why you see many my pictures during my Christmas toy party. It's not just black kids. It's white kids, Hispanic kids. You got to reach out to everyone if you're going to make this a better place. Talking about making America great again. Go up online on Black Men in America or go to Original Inside Sports and read my latest blog. Not to widen the plate. Not to make adjustment for those who don't want to do right. Because they got a dollar bill. Because they got a title. Yeah. Well, that's going to be it for Legends of Inside Sports for this segment. And I want you to remember that every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. And to stay in tune and keep up, check out blackmeninamerica.com or the Original Inside Sports, or go up and look at some of those great interviews that I got up on in, I guess, YouTube. Some great interviews. Well, Chris, thanks again. And I'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
And you can color me gone.